What is going on YouTube? I have a little bit of a different video for you. Affectionately call this series Miata Monday, but I've been wanting to do this for a while and never really sure how I was going to do it. This is the story of how I got the cheapest Miata in the entire country, possibly the world. And I know that sounds like a bit of an exaggeration, but I'll explain. This is my 1996 Mazda Miata that I affectionately call Gwen. I've had it a little over a year and a half now, and when I bought it, it had 34,000 miles on it. Now, I did buy this car in somewhat of an unfinished condition, but I got it for $600. And to understand how that happened, we have to go back to April of 2021. So in April of 2021, I was riding my motorcycle to work and I hit a deer and shattered my collarbone. I made a video about that. It's not very good, but if you want to go watch it, you can go watch that video. Anyways, I hit a deer and I shattered my collarbone. Went to the hospital. They told me I probably needed orthopedic surgery to put it all back together, and they did. They put a plate on top of it and then started me on physical therapy. And when I went to physical therapy, I met a very nice gentleman by the name of John, who was kind of doing all of my arm workouts and whatnot and looking at progress. And somehow him and I were talking about motorcycles. And he told me that he had a collection of motorcycles and has always been an avid biker himself. Well, we started talking more and more about motorcycles, and I told him, I said, you know what? I'd love to have another motorcycle, but after this, I think I'll just stick with a car. I said, maybe I'll just get myself another Miata. And he said, do you have a Miata? And I said, no, I used to have a Miata and I sold it. I said, I've regretted it selling it the day since, but ultimately I had to pay for a power pole when I was building my house, so I had to. And he goes, well, I have a Miata. He goes, I wouldn't mind selling it to you. He goes, I was going to give it away, but he goes, I don't know what to do with it. It's sitting there. And it kind of sparked my curiosity. So him and I started talking more and more over the coming weeks about this little car, and he explained to me that what had happened is he bought this Miata from CarMax in 2003. It might have been 2002, and he drove it for a little while and then decided that he was going to go through the process of changing the interior color to gray. So he pulled the interior out of it and said, well, while I'm here, I guess I'll go ahead and dynamat the floors. While he was doing all of this, however, his son was born. And then the car sat in his garage with the interior taken out of it for 16 and a half years. 16 and a half years later, that would have been that I broke my collarbone on a motorcycle accident and met him. And he essentially told me, he said, look, this car's been sitting, it doesn't run. He goes, I don't know how much it's gonna take to get it running, but it's been sitting and it's been completely disassembled. It's completely taken apart, was his words. And I thought, huh. And he goes, but I'll sell it to you for $500. And he goes, $600 if you want the brand new front bumper that comes with it. So in my mind, I was thinking that it was going to be pretty rough, but we kept talking about it and I said, okay. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll clean it up a little bit and I'll send you some photos of it. And he sent me a picture of it in pretty close to this condition, except it had the original wheels on it. And I'll see if I can put that image up on the screen. So he sent me a picture of it and he says, but like I said, it's taken apart. And I said, well, what's taken apart? And he said, well, the interior is completely out of it. So long story short, I got a trailer. I went out there with $600. I handed it to him and we're talking about the car and he goes, oh, by the way, here's the gauge cluster, it's got 34,000 miles on it. And to verify, I checked the Carfax and all the registration information on it, and the last time it was registered in 2004, it had 33,000 miles on it, and when I bought it, it still had the registration sticker from 2004 and was clearly taken apart. So I'm inclined to believe that those are the actual miles, and it did sit for that long. But not before he did quite a little bit of work to it. And this is where I get to it's got to be the cheapest Miata in the world for what it is. Some of the things that he had added was power mirrors, because it did not originally come with those, but he did put power mirrors in it. He put Unos Bilstein shocks and Eibach lowering springs on it. He put Flying Miata frame rail stiffeners, Flying Miata adjustable sway bars, front and rear. He put Alutek front and rear strut braces. He did a Jackson Racing catback exhaust, and while he was at it, he put 2 more chassis braces up underneath the front of the car. And I am not exaggerating when I tell you that this Miata is stiffer with the top down than my first Miata was with a hard top on it. There is almost no flex in the middle of this car. So if you're wondering if the Flying Miata frame rail stiffeners make a difference, that's a yes. They make a huge difference. He also dynamated the floor from firewall to firewall, put catskin leather seats in it, and replaced the soft top. And I got all of this for $600 with a new front bumper, which has since been paint matched and put on the car. But the reason he got a new front bumper is because the old front bumper had 2 holes drilled in it for the license plate. And this just kind of goes to show you, in my humble opinion, that it's not always about who you know, it's not always about what you know, it's about how you know them. So for those of you out there who really want a Miata and you say that there's just no affordable Miatas anymore, find one that somebody has neglected, or find one that's sitting, that's not running. Make friends with the person, even if they won't sell it to you. I've heard that story so many times that I'm going to restore it one day, and they never do. Find that person, make friends with them, find a way to get that car in your life. Tell them that, you know what, I would like to see that car running and driving again. I'm happy to put a little bit of my own money into it, maybe wash it, maybe clean it, vacuum it up, take care of it a little bit and see if I can get it running. And make that person understand that you are very passionate about that car, and that even if they won't sell it to you, you would like to get it back into running condition, or whatever it may be for them. That might go a long way for you. At the end of the day, it might not, and you did something good for somebody. But because of that, I was really fortunate to get this 96 Miata for $600. And I don't think I'll ever sell it. It's got about 40,000 miles on it now. I don't drive it all the time, but I do make a point to take it to work a couple times a month and to take it to different car shows and things like that. It's not very safe out where I am. There's a lot of deer. Obviously, I hit a deer on a motorcycle. Probably shouldn't have been on it in the first place on a dark country road in the middle of the night, but I was. So I don't really drive this thing to work all that often, except when I know I'm not going to have a class in the morning. I'll instead wait until the afternoon, and then or till the sun is up, I should say, and then I'll take it when the sun is up. But there you go. That's the story of my $600 Miata. I think I'll show you underneath a little bit of like what I said he had done to it. Firstly, up under here, you can see the end link of the sway bar. You can see the Bilstein coil over. If I come around to the back, here's the interior. I've got a little bit of stuff in here, but it does have some, like I said, catskin leather seats in it. It does have the speakers in here, which is really nice because my first Miata did not have those speakers and you couldn't ever hear the radio. And then under the back, you can see it's got a Jackson Racing exhaust. It's got the strut bracing. It's got the coilovers. It's got the sway bar. Everything you could ever want out of a Miata. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's a little different. That doesn't make any sense. I hope you enjoyed this video. I realize it's a little different from what I normally film, but as always, I'd like to thank you for watching. Leave us a like, leave us a comment, subscribe. I will get back to working on an airplane next weekend. I promise. I am finally starting that JPI engine install. As always, go build something and be easy.